Hello, everybody, and welcome to a football podcast that precedes unfortunate events. I'm Callum, joined here by
Lewis. Hello.
And Toby. Hello.
Toby. Still sounds like he's being held at gunpoint, even on the second attempt. But we've got a bit of an interesting idea for you all today. Obviously, we're going to do the usuals where we go through our team's result, but then we're gonna take people's jobs in football and say, guess what? We can do it better than you because we're entitled journalism students, or as we're known in the wider world, wankers. But anyway, we're getting to things going into our team's results this weekend. I believe we've got 2 wins and an embarrassment across from us. In the last game would have been the Southampton one, wouldn't it? Yeah, because you haven't played Dortmund yet. The second leg.
Yeah. I don't know. It feels weird now, obviously, after these Champions League fixtures. It feels like that was a long time ago. But yeah, I can't really remember what I said last week, but more of the same, really. It just hurts my brain. I think I mentioned it last week about my first reaction is always Chelsea Twitter and how people are feeling on there.
A fantastic metric.
Yeah. And I've said it once, I'll say it again. We're by a mile the worst Twitter fan base in the world. And don't get me wrong, like Saturday's performance and probably the 10 before that, we've been woeful. Like, that's no excuse. But people just wanting Potter out and all this. I don't understand like how you can justify that and who you're going to bring in. Like, obviously not all of it's his fault. Obviously he's made mistakes, but he's not been at this level, has he? Like, it's going to happen. And the thing is, the way I see it is like Chelsea fans want instant impact. Like, we've been spoilt with nearly 20 years of like success, like instant success, where we've sacked managers, we've brought players in, and we've won something. We've had a poor season, then we've had an amazing like couple of seasons, whatever. But you can just tell, like, now it's not sustainable. And like, I don't think there'll be many clubs in the Premier League in the next 50 years, let's say, that will have that sort of success like we had, where we were just, sacking managers, bringing people in and winning things. Because as we can see this season, like Arsenal, they've gone back, they've rebuilt, and they've built a culture at the club and a way of playing under Arteta, and it's obviously come true. And I just see so many parallels with us at the moment and where Arsenal were a couple of seasons ago. Like, Arsenal fans instantly wanted Arteta out, and now look where they are now. So yeah, like I said, I'd rather be shit for 3 years, build something and have a successful period than win a trophy every so often.
I get the point you're trying to make, but I sort of see both sides of it, because obviously you're going to go through a bit of sour patch if new manager coming in is trying to rebuild it, create his own legacy, as you were saying. But 2 wins in 50.
I know. It's
no win in 5. You can understand why people want him gone.
Yeah, no, totally. And I'm not saying like I love Potter so much he's got to stay.
Yeah.
Everyone's wrong, because obviously there's a line that, or a threshold that he's going to cross where is it really working. But I don't know how you can justify sacking him.
Yeah.
At this point in the season, like, you can't sack Tuchel, bring him in, sign on these players, which, they're not all going to be Potter's players. We know that because obviously the recruitment team he's brought in since Tuchel left. But I just don't know who you could bring in after him.
Yeah. How long do you give him until?
I reckon
next season. Next season.
Right. I'd say it's until someone who's good enough to take the job pops up. Is Thomas Tuchel going to take the job back after everything that's happened?
No,
exactly. Pochettino, he'd play decent football with you and you'd probably get results, but there's no. Let's face it, Chelsea are a team very much based on winning. I think there's one manager out there that'd be perfect for Chelsea, and I think it's someone like Diego Simeone. But the question is, are you going to be able to pry him away from Atletico? Yeah. And then all these fancy ball-playing players you've signed. Yeah. Simeone cripples attacks. He cripples them. So
it would have been a good a few years ago, but I think the way football is now, like, and in the position we're in, I don't think would want him. I think he would have been a perfect fit, like after Jose Mourinho at United, that sort of period in time. But I don't think Chelsea fans or Todd Bowley would want a defensive manager like that.
No, but then even I try to think of people you could bring in. The only ones I can really think of now are, swallowing Luis Enrique, swallowing your pride and trying to beg for Tuchel back, or taking a punt on that lad from River Plate, Marcelo Gallardo, I think it is, and that's just a massive. It's going from hipster manager in Europe to hipster manager in South America.
Well, that's just as risky as sticking with Potter, isn't it? So you might as well just.
I think
Yeah.
Chelsea should stick with Potter unless something crazy happens at the end of the season and some big manager gets done in. Like, for example, if Jurgen Klopp gets sacked and you can convince Jurgen Klopp to join, that's a different story.
Yeah, 100%.
But,
if Pep imagine it if Pep walked at City.
if Pep
Yeah.
walked at City, I think he'd definitely take the
I know
Chelsea
that's
job.
It's a
really-
dream, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a dream, but I don't know. I think in the I know it's a bit of a meme, but I feel like Pep Guardiola has a lot of respect for Chelsea. Like in past interviews, I remember that one where was it his first season maybe at Man City, and then that post interview after the game, and he was like, "Oh well, it's Chelsea."
Well,
And he
that's
was
what I
smiling,
mean.
and it's like
His
yeah.
most controversial result in his career comes against Chelsea, doesn't it? The one where it's a disgrace, that game.
Yeah.
So it's
oh yeah, and the final as well.
yeah, that comes
Champions
against.
League final.
I definitely think he'd take the job. I
Mm.
can't imagine he'd want to look.
But does he want to stay in England though?
Yeah, I think so.
Do you think?
I think it's one of those things. He's been here for so long now.
Let's see where else he'd go, to be honest.
Barcelona are going to give him the job back. He's never going to take the Real Madrid job. The Spain national
Juventus.
team job, possibly. Juventus are in a
He
mess.
won't go to the Spanish national team. Barcelona basically disassociate themselves.
Exactly.
With the country,
He's Catalan, isn't he? Born and bred. But I think he did play for Spain. But, if Jose Mourinho left Roma, possibly, because he played there, but he only played like 3 times for them.
I was gonna say on Jose Mourinho. I've seen a lot of people saying, "Oh, third time round, let's give him another go." And I'm not gonna lie to you.
I don't see why not.
No, but it's like how Mourinho always used to dip in the third season. It'd be the same with his third tenure.
Yeah, but
He's got Roma third place in Serie A, level on points with AC Milan, only conceded 19 goals in the league.
I think him going away, it's been very good for his reputation.
Yeah, because his Spurs side wasn't great.
Well,
was
this
it?
feels very much like Inter Milan again, doesn't it? Obviously, he hasn't won a treble with Roma, but not quite at Inter Milan's level where he brought in experience. Obviously Diego Lito, players like that. Who else? I'm trying to remember who else he signed at Inter. He signed loads of players. I remember a lot of old players. I remember him in that first season, especially bringing in. Remember he had in his first season where he won the league, he had like a 35-year-old Figo and stuff like that. But yeah, I think I don't think Mourinho'd leave. I think Mourinho's comfortable. I think Mourinho loves Italian football.
I think he's enjoying where
and
he
I
is.
do think he could nick a league with Roma next year, possibly. I don't think it's out there. Dybala's looking like a return to form. If Tammy Abraham can hit last season's form,
Well, yeah, if Napoli get to
I think
all
in the
their players
third season,
poached,
Roma with the new owners will give him money as well. They'll go, right, you've got us back in the Champions League, which I can't see them dropping below Lazio, man. Or maybe Atalanta could nick it, but Mourinho's one of those managers who gets results, and they're only 3 points behind Inter as well. So,
but yeah, bringing it back to Chelsea anyway, I was going to say next week is going to be very defining, I think, or in a way.
Who'd you
The
play?
rest of the season's going to go. Well, we've got Tottenham at the weekend,
Oh, I
and then
see.
we've got Dortmund in the second leg.
Yeah.
So
I was going to move on to what do you think? What is a good season now for Chelsea? What are your goals, or is it just a write-off?
I don't think can't drop any more than we are at the moment and win a couple of big games.
Yeah. Where are you now?
I think we're still 10th, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
why does this have like the Roberto Di Matteo season written it all over it for me? They're going to beat Dortmund 2-0 in this leg, go through, win again. I genuinely think they might get to the final and lose to like Bayern Munich or something like that.
I don't know. It's tough. It's been a tough season, sort of.
I do think Chelsea have a very good cup team, though, if you know what I mean. Like how there's certain teams that always do really well in the cups because of just the style of play or who they have. Like they've got really high energy players that can just catch you out of nowhere. I think Chelsea have quite a lot of them.
Yeah, 2 cup finals last season, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, yeah, we could have won.
Lost them both on penalties, wasn't it?
Imagine if everyone screams for Potter getting sacked and then he wins the Champions League. Would first English gaffer to do it, what? Ever since it got rebranded to the Champions League, be the first English gaffer to do it because Sir Alex. I'm trying to think which English teams won it.
Yeah, so no.
I think Liverpool's was under Kenny Dalglish.
Did Bobby Robson win it with
Bobby Robson.
Barcelona?
No, Bobby Robson didn't win it with Barcelona. I think that's the years that United won it, Dortmund won it, and I don't think so, no. I think he'd be the only...
Nigel Clough with Forest.
I don't think that was the Champions League then, though. That was the European Cup.
Wasn't it?
He'd be the only English manager to win the Champions League, I think. I might be wrong, but I'm pretty
Quite
sure.
Cool.
I'm pretty sure. It would be quite cool, wouldn't it? The most hipster manager in the world. So, speaking of going from hipster managers to good managers,
Alex Neil is stunning.
shut up.
Crack on.
We don't. Alex Neil.
Wait, can I just go back? I just said Nigel Clough. I mean Brian Clough.
Oh
So,
God, not Nigel, not Mansfield Goat himself. Big Nige. But yeah, we won convincingly 1-0 against Leeds. By the way, let me add that on. I know it's not very much of a show off. You beat a team without a manager. But yeah, I think it was.
Toby's team struggled.
I think we looked really good against Seamus Carlos at right back. Absolute delicious goal again.
That took me a while to get. I'm not proud of that.
Yeah, rolling back the years, arguably one of, in my opinion, in the top 3 best deals in Premier League history for the price and what you get. I think only behind Mahrez and Kante.
What was it? 60 grand you got him for?
60.
When was that?
2009.
Oh Jesus.
And 60 grand, and he's been our right back.
14 years.
And I'm just saying, Bayern Munich wanted to pay 35 million for him, and then he broke his leg literally the week after. No, that was like Paul Joyce as well. So it was a good rumour. Week after Neil Taylor destroyed his leg.
Oh, was that him?
Yeah.
That was Wales, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Wales and Ireland.
Yeah, bloody. I think at a point he was the best right back in the league. In that
Wow.
2017,
Bold
2018
statement.
season, he was the best right back in the league. Not even close. It was him or Kyle Walker. And I think, Tottenham, but Seamus Coleman was winning Everton games from right back. But anyway, enough about Seamus Coleman and my absolute love
It's
for
a
that
big
man.
win, isn't it? It's a
huge.
massive win.
This win is, if we look back at the end, this and Arsenal, ironically both games under Dyche, are games we're going to look at and go, that kept us up.
Yeah, 100%.
But 2 wins out of 3 with, one of them beating Arsenal. I think it's a real good sign, and I think we're playing good football as well. I think.
What did you make of the goal? Did he mean it?
Yeah. No,
I think
100%. No, he did. 100%. He saw Meslier. I don't think he expected it to go in.
Yeah.
But he saw
Saw it
Meslier.
okay.
Saw Meslier off his line and went, "No one's around me. I'm blasting it."
Love it.
And it's a thing where, again, when we're in a relegation battle, Seamus Coleman scores a winner against Leeds. 2 years in a row he's done this now. But yeah, I think he's, like I said, fantastic servant to the club, and I think everyone played fantastic today. I don't think really any players who dropped a stinker. I think, ironically as well, this was a game where a lot of players I had doubts for really stepped up in Maupay and McNeil. McNeil attempted 15 crosses and only completed 3 of them, but I think that's because, he's used to airing them out, and this time he was being asked to fizz them across to Maupay. But yeah, I think Maupay and Onana had this weird link where Onana basically played up front at points and would nod the ball down to Maupay, and it worked really well. But yeah, I thought we were fantastic all around. I thought we defended really well. I think Leeds had no answer to us going forward, really. But I think it's a difficult one to look at, because I just look at, if we stay up, I look at Onana and go, he's gone at the end of the season.
Quick one. What's changed since Dyche has come in? Because we've seen it's been an entire shift. A team that looked like they were down and out, to be brutally honest with you, to a team that's mustered some fighting spirit from seemingly nowhere.
I think it's a lot about midfield. I think it's overloading that midfield with 5 midfielders, and then in this game it turned into a 4-3-3. I think it's all about, an intelligent manager. If you've seen anything about Dyche's thing, you know how he's going to play. But it's a thing where I think he's subverted a lot of expectations, because we're not playing Dyche ball. It's not Burnley ball in the slightest. We're pressing teams. We're going at them. We're going for the throw. We're taking the directness of Dyche ball, but it's a lot more of an energetic. And I think bringing Decore into the team, by the way, I've probably said on this podcast before that I don't think Decore should be an Everton player anymore. But his energy, I don't think he was very good against Liverpool, but against Arsenal and Leeds, he's full. That midfield is, like I said, arguably in my opinion the most energetic midfield in the league.
Yeah,
they're going to hound you down. It's 3 players who can hound you down for 90 minutes and then can put pressure on you. And like I said, I think if we're going off form, Onana generally looks like one of the best midfielders in the league right now, which obviously helps when you're in a battle, when someone who was already playing at a good level takes another step up under a new manager. And I think, like I said, players like McNeil, Tarkowski is stepping up. I think set pieces as well. I think defending and attacking set pieces, the way that's changed has helped us massively compared to where we were, because we've always been a team that could score from set pieces, but we never seem to get it. And again, Tarkowski was causing problems from set pieces and almost scored. That's 3 games in a row, where you could argue where the ball bounces a little bit differently. Tarkowski's had back-to-back games with a goal.
So does final one, does Dyche keep Everton up?
Yes, 100% comfortably keeps us up.
I
I think genuinely we're going to finish 12th, 11th.
I can see it.
I think we're going to beat Villa on the weekend, and then I think us beating Villa's good as well, because I think that drags Villa into a fight they're not ready for. This is a fight some of these players have experience with. Cody's got experience with it, Tarkowski, Coleman, Iwobi, McNeil, Morpeg, even Gate. Players like just a Gay when we were really bad before he left, All these players have experience with being in a fight like this. Aston Villa's squad's not ready for it, in my opinion. And I don't think Villa are going to go down. I think Villa could easily turn it around, resurgent. They look really good against Arsenal, and I think a lot of it was bad luck for them. The third goal, really good strike from Jorginho, but again, incredibly unlucky to bounce off the back of Martinez's head. And then, again, Emi Martinez, who I think is a massively overrated goalkeeper, makes a stupid error that leads to them conceding the fourth.
Busy weekend, wasn't it? How did Stoke get on?
Well, there's two sides to this tale. There's the Saturday side and the Tuesday side. Massively different, because obviously the week before we beat Huddersfield in a relegation 6-pointer, drew us a fair few points clear of the relegation zone. We go into the weekend facing bottom side Blackpool, who were winless since October, lost every home game in 2023, I think, and we all know where this is going. We lost 1-0 after having 25 shots. They had 2 shots on target, 1 shot on target. It was a deflection.
It's the one where Pavetta hits
after
it
5 minutes.
Hits it and he hits it and it just goes complete opposite direction after hitting it.
It was going far corner. It's come off Thompson and it's gone near post. So Sarkic has absolutely no chance. We played well after that. To be fair, I was quite happy with how we played. We just couldn't score. We've just got that donkey Dwight Gale up front who is horrific. He is actually horrific. I was buzzing about the signing when we got him, but he's just he's a shadow of his former self. He scored 1 goal all season and it went in off his arse.
One thing I do notice though is I think one thing with you, and I think you can give it as a Stoke fan because I don't put myself through the pain of watching that. It looks like you always manage to get a lot of shots off. Is that you're actually getting in the box and creating chances, or is that, for example, Lewis Baker's pinging it from 30 yards?
That's very much been an Alex Neil shift. Because I remember pre-Michael O'Neill, we went 18 months without scoring 3 goals in a game. And O'Neill came in, we scored a few more, but then it just gradually dropped off. But now we're taking a lot more shots a game, which is always a good start.
I think as well what it looks like, you lot are desperate for a midfielder.
But we've just, I like our midfield now. I'll get onto that in a minute.
No, but my thing is, I'm looking at your pass accuracy in these games, and don't get me wrong, you're doing better than other teams with 72%, but
our issue
is that a lot of for example, when you're playing a team like Blackpool, is that the pass accuracy dropping? And that's probably might be a decent percentage for the Championship, but is it one of those things where you're going, shit, we're 1-0 down, long ball.
I disagree. I'm going to disagree with you. Our issue against Blackpool was we were getting it into the right areas. It was what we did with it in the final third.
So is it that thing where you're desperate for that finish?
It was a final ball or a finisher. If we got a good striker, and we'd be like 12.
Is there a striker you can think of?
Oof, I have no idea.
What about the lad from...
No one we can afford, anyway.
Yeah, there is. That lad from Bristol Rovers.
Oh, Aaron Collins.
Yeah, it'd be okay. It's just, would he be able to make the step up to the Championship? I
think if you second top goal scorer in League One and then top assister.
But how many players like that have we seen come into the Championship and underperform?
The most recent one I think that a lot of them recently have been successes. Ross Stewart. I'm trying to think of who else top scored in the
They've come up with the same team. You know what I mean? Try them in a different system and it flops a lot of the time. But anyway, we digress. Move into midweek. It looked a lot more positive. We played Swansea away. We went 1-0 down in 2 minutes. So we thought, typical Stoke, we're being dragged into a relegation battle we thought we were out of. But no, up steps Josh Laurent, who he was unreal. He was unreal, as the adage goes, a Rolls-Royce midfielder. He was just bossing the game. He scored 2 goals, one of them from a scrappy corner, the other one was pulled back by Tyrese Campbell. And yeah, we didn't really look back after that. We kept the press up. I've never seen us press so intensely since we dropped down to the Championship. It was like it was a breath of fresh air, really. And I mean, I know we're inconsistent. We'll go and lose to Millwall at the weekend, and I'll be sad again. But I'm going to enjoy myself. I'm going to enjoy myself for a few days.
That's fair. Looking at this squad, it's a good squad. It's a good starting 11 of players. Like I said, if you can manage to, I couldn't see why not. Bournemouth are going to go down, but if Bournemouth managed to stay up, no reason why you couldn't bring Ben Pearson back. Probably need.
Look, Ben Pearson he's been such an underrated signing. He's brought that perfect balance to our midfield.
Ben Pearson's fantastic.
Because we were lacking a holding midfielder. We were lacking a bit of bite. We were lacking a bit of tenacity in the midfield. Ben Pearson brings that. He solidifies us up, and then we can play Josh Laurent or Lewis Baker as a box-to-box instead of more of a defensive player,
But it-
and they have the freedom to get up and down the pitch.
It's even one of those things you look at it, you look at the Stoke side and you go, this is me just looking. Morgan Fox at centre back, I can't imagine that's a normal thing.
No, we've
That's-
got injuries.
Yeah, I can imagine that's
Phil
Jags or-
Jagielka played 40-year-old Phil Jagielka played 3 games in a week.
Who's the main starting centre back besides Wilmot?
It's normally Wilmot and Jagielka.
Okay, so another centre back and a
But-
striker, and I think we're talking a
Well,
completely
we bought
different team here.
we bought into Nzabi. He's just coming back from an injury.
Yeah, but
so
I'm talking like
we can hope.
a proven centre back. Well, I'm not talking.
I think Nzabi's been proven in the Championship.
Yeah, but he gets injured all the time. Man.
Yes, obviously he's injury prone, but he went up with Villa. He's had a few other successful
Yeah,
loan
but to be
spells.
fair, Villa wouldn't have went up. Look at the team they had, Matt. That Villa team was Premier League quality, and it went up through the playoffs.
Premier League quality that he was starting week in, week out though.
He was, but
And his contract's up in the summer, so
yeah, that's true.
we
but
get
I
a few
think,
good games out of
but
him.
I think being a Man United player, you won't get him because some low-level Premier League team will take a punt on him and go, well, because that's
I don't know as he will with his injury record.
yeah, but
That could help.
It's
That could actually come to help us out.
different because he's free. If it costs money, I'd agree with you, but it's a free transfer. It's no risk. It's low risk, high reward.
Yeah,
If you get- But anyway, we're digressing.
we're on the up anyway. We're on the up.
We're 25 minutes in. But what is the interesting part is we're going to talk about Liverpool now. Liverpool, quite an interesting one because I think we all thought, oh, they were back. They pumped us in the derby. Then they pumped Newcastle. And then they went 2-0 up against Real Madrid. And everyone's like, oh, for God's sakes, we're doing this again, are we? And then Vinny Jr. again. Who's got I don't remember because
Did Benzema get one or two?
I turned it off
2, I'm pretty sure.
to start doing
no,
some
Militao
uni work.
scored.
Militao scored a header and then
one was an own
Benzema.
goal.
Benzema and then an own goal, I think, yeah. But it's one of those things where, I looked at it and I turned it off at 2-0 because I'm going to do some uni work. No point watching this. Liverpool are going to pump them. I can't watch Carlo go down like that. I checked the score back when you lads put something in the chat, 2-2. I checked again at the end of the game, 5-2. I was like, well, what happened? It's one of those things. And you look at it and go, the thing is, I don't want to count Liverpool out because I counted them out when they were massively down against Barcelona by 4 goals or by 3 goals. What did they do? But they pumped them at Anfield and now they have to go to the Bernabeu. We've seen what Real Madrid can do to teams at the Bernabeu. Man City, I think they did you in at the Bernabeu as well.
Yeah.
I think it's, one of those where I think Liverpool are done now.
Yeah, Real Madrid see it out easily.
But, you look at that Liverpool team and, like, it stinks, man. Like, comparing it to what...
Very analytical from Callum there.
We're going to get more analytical, so we might as well... But, like, you look at what that Liverpool team was, and I hate that Liverpool team. Because, like I said, it's the best Liverpool team I've seen in my lifetime. And, you just look at it. Joe Gomez, he's mid-table Premier League quality. Bacetic should be on loan at a low Premier League team, maybe a Championship team at the top. Decent player, but everyone's overrated him because he did one fancy turn when the player coming to tackle him went the wrong way.
Terrible turn.
But it's one of those, you look at it and you go... The worst part for Liverpool now is their midfield and defence is falling apart when the attack's finally starting to gel. Núñez again, great game again. I know
He's coming into his own now,
we
isn't
slagged him off a bit at the start as a part of the joke, but the guy's fantastic, man. That goal was unbelievable. The balls on that fella to just go, I'm not going to reach this properly. Let's just flick, nice little flick, straight into Courtois' goal. Second goal, gift Courtois. The same man who likes to call out 442 journalists after winning the Champions League, then gets absolutely sausaged by, instead of just taking a step back and controlling it with his foot, even I know that's what you're supposed to do, tries to take a touch with his knee, bounces straight to Salah. Nice finish from Salah though, nice little outside of the boot with his left. And Liverpool go 2-0 up within 10 minutes? Within 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And then, I think everyone watching it, I don't know what you guys thought, when they went 2-0 up, I was like, it's done.
Yeah.
Liverpool
same.
won.
But you look at that midfield, and that's where you need the improvements.
People may get angry. There's the Liverpool midfield that started there is worse than Evans. Genuinely. No, genuinely. Like,
Probably.
Just a Gay right now is a better defensive midfielder than Fabinho. If we're going off pure form, only form, Onana's definitely better than Bacetic and Henderson. And Doucouré is the only one where you'd say, okay, take Doucouré out. But 2/3 of our midfield wins, and I'm not trying to... I know they beat us, and Bacetic had a good game. But I also feel like that was more down to us folding under the pressure than Liverpool rising to the pressure. You know, I think if we played Liverpool like we played against Arsenal, we beat them by 3 comfortably.
Interesting.
I think we're done by half time.
We'll clip that up and
Yeah.
that is good.
No, but I think genuinely, if we beat Liverpool like how we did against played Liverpool like how we did against Arsenal, and the players didn't fold under the pressure, I think we comfortably beat them.
We'll just put a little montage together of Callum Brandon terrible takes.
Is that a terrible take though?
We could fill an episode.
I don't think it's the worst.
Would you argue this Liverpool team is better than the Arsenal team we beat?
Well, I don't know, but you're waxing lyrical about a team that's 16th in the Premier League.
It doesn't. It's not really waxing lyrical, is it?
I mean, I know I've compared the Stoke midfield from Tuesday night to prime Barcelona, but I feel like that's justified.
No, but is that me bigging up Everton, or is that more detriment to Liverpool?
I don't know. I don't know what you're trying to do with
It's
it.
a detriment to Liverpool. You know, I'm comparing Abdoulaye Doucouré to a guy who's won a European Cup. Obviously, I know what I'm saying. I'm saying your midfield is just as crap as a team that's in 16th in the Premier League. And I don't think that's a shocking revelation. I think if they don't have that front three, they're in the bottom half.
Yeah.
I think no Salah, no Núñez. You know, if that front three, for example, is, let's see who they've got on the bench. If that front three is Roberto Firmino, even Jota, and let's say Carvalho, that team's in the bottom half.
Wow.
I don't, and that's no offence to Firmino, who was fantastic at the start, and even a player like Jota, who's really good. But what is that? What midfield battle is that team going to win? Except Bournemouth and Southampton. No, I don't even.
Yeah.
I think Southampton's midfield could give them a run. You know,
So-
I just think it's. Go on, Lewis. What were you going to say?
I was just going to ask how you'd improve it.
How would
Yeah,
I?
I-
I was going to move it on.
What would you do?
We've spoken about the flaws.
Well,
but
if we're going to talk about how we're going to rebuild them, I think there's 2 roads we need to go down here. There's the road of the possible, you know, like it got reported, the possible departure of Jurgen Klopp, and what if Jurgen Klopp stays, because that's 2 completely different stories. I've built my argument completely around the idea that my dream happens and Jurgen Klopp does one, but then my nightmare comes in with the replacement. I think Liverpool could tempt Julian Nagelsmann away from Bayern Munich with that big, juicy Premier League money. They go, here you go, lad, we'll make you the most paid coach in the Premier League. Here's absolute stupid money. Even though Liverpool fans complain about their owners, but they would definitely do this. And then I'm saying, I don't know if you guys want to take the Klopp stays approach and I take the Klopp goes approach.
That's what we're going to do.
But I'll say, bring Julian Nagelsmann in. It's time for Jurgen Klopp to go. It's not Jurgen Klopp's fault. Jurgen Klopp's got a case for being arguably, you know, he's in the top 3 greatest coaches in the history of that club with Shankly and I forgot who the other fella is. But Paisley, Shankly, and Klopp are the 3 greatest managers this club's ever had. So, hey,
so what's the first thing then that Julian Nagelsmann's going to do?
Well, Julian Nagelsmann likes to line up in a 4-2-3-1. If I just give you, this is his most well, the only problem is this is who scored going off best average rating. But what they've got is Neuer in goal, Davies, De Ligt, Upamecano, Pavard, Kimmich, Goretzka, Gnabry, Musiala, Mane, Moting. But I do think it's been Sané on the left and Mane as a false 9 kind of playing up front. But, you know, I'll just scroll down here and I'll explain it to you from one thing that they like to do. And this is going to get very, ooh, look at me, I know ball now. Because I actually put a lot of work into writing this up. So we started off with transitioning from defence to attack. Alphonso Davies is the main sort of that, you know. I'm going to start listing off stats now. In his passes attempted, passes completed, progressive carries, successful take-ons, touches in the attacking penalty area, and progressive passive receives, he's in the top 10% of all fullbacks in the world. So, you know, and even his blocks, he's in the top 15%. Tackles, he's in the top 30%. So he's still doing the defensive work, but he's a really high-energy player. His assists are top 15% in the world for all fullbacks. He's got probably the best left-back in the world, which always helps, and arguably, you know, converting a winger with, you know, world-class dribbling ability and then having him be a good fullback helps. But it's pretty simple. What he likes to do is, you know, Davies is one of the most lethal attackers. I'm trying not to read this word for word, but what I've said is, you know, Davies, he's explosive, has pace and very good dribbler, which allows him to be a focal point in the attack, allowing him to pick the ball up from defence, dribble it up. Liverpool don't have a fullback who could do that. Liverpool could do the risk and maybe try moving another midfielder or a winger into fullback and seeing someone with high energy and seeing if that could work. But what they do have is Trent Alexander-Arnold. Trent Alexander-Arnold doesn't offer the same level of dribbling or pace, but he does offer more technical ability than someone like Alphonso Davies. So what it could be is, for example, Trent's not going to get the ball and drive full speed at you. What Trent's going to do is get the ball, drive slowly, link up. He's not slow by any means. Link up with someone like Thiago, and he's going to use his technical and passing ability to link up into the final third. I think he would be the closest thing to an Alphonso Davies, that defender who's given a role to transition from defence to attack, or from defence to midfield to attack. And I think you look at his stats, his progressive passes, his passes attempted, his assists, his expected assists, and his shot creating actions, all, pretty good statistics. If we're going to fullbacks, they're all top 5% in the world. Top 3% in the world even. So, defensively, he reeks. That's the nicest way I'm going to put it. He's not as bad as everyone makes out, but he's not good. Again, I think if we had to play like a top 20 list of every starting right back and do it ranked on defending ability, he's in the bottom half of that. But when it comes to attacking talent, he's a generational talent. And I think if you put the right players around him, if you put hard workers around him,
yeah, you can make up.
Then you can make up for it. If you can get some semblance of form out of Van Dijk, which I think you can, if you improve his partner, then all of a sudden Van Dijk can do what he did best, and that's shield Trent, make sure Trent and use his intelligence to make sure Trent can bomb up the field and do things like that. But like I said, one issue with Trent is his defensive abilities, and they have Andy Robertson on the left, but I think Andy Robertson slowed down. You've even seen that Kostas Simakis get a few games, and I think he's quite good, but I think Robertson may play almost a Pavard role. So basically, I'm not going to move to the next segment yet, because obviously, let's say we need to talk about what Klopp may do first when it comes to the defensive third of the pitch. But he almost likes to play for a 3-5, so Pavard will drop into like almost a wide centre back, and then you'll have Lucas Hernandez as a wide centre back as well. Also, thank you. I think it's Total Football Analysis is the website. They did a really good article on this, which helped me really get an idea of what Liverpool could do under it, and that's where I've got a lot of this information from. Even the pictures I'm using now have come from that website. But if I turn the laptop here, so you both can see it, you can see. There you go. Wow, we've advanced. You can see it's a 3-2-5 there with Pavard almost dropping into a centre-back role. Now, do I expect Andy Robertson to do that? No. I wouldn't surprise me if Andy Robertson moved up a bit into midfield, and then if they kept Fabinho in the team, Fabinho dropped into centre-back. But I could almost see Robertson playing a role where he doesn't bomb forward as much as he used to, because I just don't think he has the energy that he once did. I think his legs are going out from underneath him, and obviously he was a lad from Hull who got signed as a backup and ended up, turning into one of the best left backs to ever play in this league, really. So that's no discredit to him, but in the matter of fact, I think Liverpool either need a new left back or to chill Andy Robertson out a little bit and maybe let him dictate the play a little from deeper on the pitch, or use his defensive awareness to maybe chill, drop into that 3-2-5, or possibly even like a 2-3-5, an example with Robertson as almost like a wing back.
Yeah, David, I think he would benefit a lot by moving into that sort of inverted fullback role. That I don't know what Nagelsmann does at Bayern Munich. I guess in those pitches they turn in a set. He does like his fullbacks to sort of, or one of them to sort of shift over, so it's a 3.
So what? Yeah. So like I said, he'll have Davies practically become a left winger. He'll have Pavard switch in, so it becomes a back 3. Then he'll have his 2, so he's Kimmich and Goretzka will stay in position, and then the front 4 is basically just. I think it's a lot of it where, I think the easiest explanation is Gnabry tucks in, or whoever's on that side with Davies gets a free roll. You're allowed to run, pick up the ball, and you've got a free roll. So that left winger, or in my case, what it'd be Trent bombing down. So obviously it'd be Salah, who's then given a free roll in the attack to basically pick up the ball, drive with the ball, and then he'll have Trent as that right wing option. So he'll almost play in the half spaces. If people know what they are, I think I don't want to get too nerdy and stuff in explaining things too much, but almost in the sense where Salah will just operate in the final third, not in a position, in a sense.
Yeah, no.
So go on.
I was going to say, so who should they sign in defence then? Who should Liverpool target?
If we're going to go for Julian Nagelsmann, we want someone with... Right, let me scroll down a little bit so I know what I'm saying. We want someone with that athletic profile, but they need to have technical ability. If you want to play in a Julian Nagelsmann system, you've got to have that technical ability, and unfortunately I don't think Canate has got that right now. I think it depends what Liverpool are going to do. Is Nagelsmann going to come in year 1 and go, we're not going for the league, I want to build my team with my players? Then easily I could see him going, Canate, there were a point where people thought you were better than Upamecano. You're going to be my partner for Van Dijk. But with the culture around Liverpool, with how bad this season is, I think they're going to want a real bounce-back season.
Yeah.
And they
won't settle for anything less than a title.
And I've got 3 options. I do think Canate could do a job, but then they'd have to sign a backup, in my opinion. I don't think Joe Gomez is good enough at all, and I think you could,
Well, we saw that the other night.
I think
terrible.
You could easily convince a team in the Prem to pay 20 mil, 25 mil for him because the teams are gullible and stupid when it comes to English centre backs. So we're still because I think that what a lot of people look at Joe Gomez and go, oh, he has potential to be really good. We've seen it. We've seen Joe
We've
Gomez.
also been saying that for 6
No,
years.
but even this season, Joe Gomez has multiple games where he stepped up and been Liverpool's best defender. So he's showing that he can do it. But is it because he's playing for a top 6 side? And he's next to Virgil van Dijk, who he's got to play at a similar level to for Liverpool to thing. Liverpool can't just get carried by Van Dijk every year, especially now that his knees have fallen apart. I think a lot of Van Dijk's athleticism has left him ever since, the injury. And I think even before that, a lot of people credit his downfall to Pickford, but 2 weeks earlier he conceded 7 to Aston Villa. Is it Van Dijk's not as good as we actually made out he was? Was he ever best centre? I don't think he was close, to be honest, to ever being the best centre-back to ever play in the Premier League, to be brutally honest with you.
I agree with you partially, but he's still good enough to start in that Liverpool team.
Oh, 100%, no doubt.
You still build your team
He's
around
still,
him,
you build your defence around him, and that's why the entire segment's Virgil van Dijk's partner. The entire point is who's going to best get the talents out of Van Dijk, let Van Dijk, almost become like, for example, when players like John Terry got older, you look at players like Ricardo Carvalho, those defenders who could almost dictate a game from centre-back. I think that's the route, whatever, Van Dijk's going down. And so I've got 3 options, and I've got all the values from Transfermarkt.
Woo.
And the first one's Diop and Meccano. Just go straight to Bayern and take them. But I don't think, first of all, I think Bayern had asked for 80 to 100 mil.
Yeah,
Meccano's really quick. His registered speed of 35 kilometres per hour, only behind Mickey van der Ven from Wolfsburg, who's another centre-back who I looked at, but I went, that'd be more that backup option for Konate, that rotational option. Dutch again, so he'll have that link up with Van Dijk and it'll make it easier for him. But Upamecano's one of those where I think, his transfer value's at 55, but if they nick Nagelsmann, Bayern will instantly see them as European challengers, and I think then they're saying 80 to 100 mil for him. He's still got a few years in the tank. We're not mugs. We're not going to sell you in for cheap. So I got Ronald Araujo from Barcelona, fantastic player, good aerial threat, and very technically gifted. Understandably playing under Xavi. Like I said, another one where I couldn't see Barca accepting anything less than 80 to 100 for him. But depending on what happens with this refereeing thing, are they just going to I think I could see La Liga punishing them worse than what with Juventus did. I don't think you could ever relegate Barcelona. But it wouldn't surprise me if they knock them like 25, 30 points at the start of the season and go, let's see how you deal with this one then, mate. And I think they'll survive, but why would Araujo want to play for that Barcelona team?
I feel like every summer, a few next summers, there's always going to be one star player in that Barcelona team who's going to be rumoured to leave. Obviously, last summer it was De Jong and Araujo.
Yeah.
But they might, to be fair, if you want to pick up a centre-back, you might be able to get him for fairly
I think about
price.
50 million.
It depends in how much financial shit Barcelona are in, how desperately they need the money.
I think if they get the points deduction, they will accept 50 mil for Araujo. And if they're in that position where they're just, we're fighting for mid-table, they might give a young lad like Eric Garcia a chance, or one. I don't know.
Yeah, so he's not, Araujo's not a cheap option, but he's a cheaper option.
No, but I don't think there is a cheap option for Liverpool.
Yeah.
If you're going straight into win, because I believe you made a list of player sales, didn't you, Lewis?
I did indeed.
So if you list off that list of player sales for me, I will then know what budget we can work with, because I've got one more player and I've got 3 players for each, but I actually might have to budget myself now, because I think what we'll do is we'll say, if I go into a Football Manager save with Liverpool, which is what I did to build this, you get given 40 million at the start. Will Liverpool have probably quadruple that to spend in reality? Yeah. But that's boring. You can have the unlimited funds option, Toby. I'm going to get given a budget. So I've got 40 million now. Give me the player sales, and then we'll work out how much money I've got to spend.
So these have all been taken from Transfermarkt. You've got Nat Phillips. You should probably get about 5 million for
I
him.
can see a team like West Brom buying him.
Joe Gomez, we've already been through 20, 25 million. We'll go 25. We're feeling extra juicy
Crystal
today.
Palace.
Horrific.
Blame Twitter. It's Twitter's fault.
Fabinho, you can get 45 million for him. Easy.
Yeah, I think a team.
Someone would take him.
I think a team in Europe may really want a defensive midfielder, and Fabinho's got that
back Monaco. Naby Keita, about 15.
Yeah, there's rumours he's willing to go back to Leipzig, I believe.
And then Oxlade-Chamberlain's contract up, Milner's contract up, and Firmino as well.
Firmino's one where even I looked at that last night and thought, it's a difficult one. Nagelsmann loves that 4-2-3-1, maybe playing Roberto Firmino.
Yeah, he might do well. I'd probably keep him around, to be honest.
But I think he's on like 200 grand a week. And Liverpool, imagine, If we take wages into account as well, we can probably. So I think that's about 130 million, right?
I'm just going to tot it on now. 60, 85. That's 90 million. So if you add your
40.
40
You,
on,
you add like all those wages, you're probably freeing up 500-600 grand a week in wages, probably even more. And if you transfer that, to transfers, I'd probably say 150, 160 mil. But
no, but if you bring in high quality players, they demand high quality wages.
We're going to stick with a fee of 130 mil. So we're going to say Upamecano costs 80 to 100. Araujo would cost, we'll say, 55 mil. I pronounced that very well.
I was going to say that was very exotic, isn't it?
I pronounced that very.
Araujo.
I pronounced that very well, didn't I? I thought, let's try to be fancy with the pronunciation. It actually worked. My final one of my choice. I don't know how he's still at Villarreal. I think it's criminal. I think he's one of the best centre-backs in the world. That's Pau Torres. I think Pau Torres is fantastic. Not as physically gifted as the other two, but again, a technician at centre-back, Someone Spanish can get that ball and can just straight transition from defence to attack. I think if you look at his FB ref thing, which is where I got a lot of my stats from because it just makes it 10 times easier, for like shot-creating actions from centre-back, he's averaging 1 a game. So he's directly contributing to 1 shot on target per game. And that's creative.
Punting it from 30 yards.
Yeah, that's it. And then if you look at his progressive passes, progressive carries, and even successful take-ons, he's in the top 10%. So yeah, again, if Nagelsmann wants to have that approach where, hell, Van Dijk, you stay back, we're playing against a weird team, they're marking Trent out of the game, Pau, go. Send Pau Torres flying up the field with the ball, because clearly he can do it. Yeah. And I think you look at the fee, I think his contract expires next summer.
How much are we talking?
I'm saying around 45 million. I think his contract expires next summer.
Okay, that seems fair.
I don't think you get any less for him because I do think he's borderline. He's not world class, but he's on just that level below. And moving to a top team, I think really could cement him. I also think it takes a lot of the pressure off Van Dijk. It lets Van Dijk, even though Van Dijk is again a technician on the ball, really good. But then Van Dijk knows if he squares it across to his other defender, he hasn't got Joel Matip tripping over his own feet next.
Yeah, it's somebody that will complement him quite well, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it'd be fantastic, and I think 45 million. I think it'd be a fantastic move. So you take 45 mil off. We've got 85 million remaining. But before we move on, Toby, what would you do to Liverpool's defence?
Well, going off the basis that Klopp does stay, I think it's obviously clear there's so many deficiencies in that squad, and especially the defence. Obviously.
Sorry, I was impressed at the use of the word deficiencies.
It's a lovely word.
Journalism student.
Well, yeah, after Real Madrid tore them apart, it was clear that their defence is terrible. Obviously, we're recording this on a Thursday, so before Palace at the weekend, we don't know what's going to happen there. They haven't been great form, have they, Palace themselves? So it'll be interesting to see how they get on there. But yeah, up until this point, they've conceded 3 or more goals in 5 of their last 13 games since the World Cup.
Ooh.
So they've not been great on 8 occasions in total this season. So yeah, it's obviously clear that defensively they've been way off it, both in defence and obviously with the fullbacks in attacking wise, they just haven't been given the same output they have in previous seasons. But really, like Callum has said, like it's only really the second centre back slot that is open. Like I can't see that.
Yeah, Van Dijk stays, doesn't he?
At all, and that's been the same since probably around 2017.
Yeah. I think you'd only ever really get rid of Van Dijk is if some team came in and give you dumb money. If a team comes in and says here's 100 mil for Van Dijk, you could, yep, sorry, bye.
Yeah.
But no, I don't think any team will due to his knees have gone. To be fair,
I agree. So who's the perfect partner for Van Dijk, Toby?
Well, I would say they've already got him in Canate, but they can't put their trust in him. No,
I think especially if Klopp stays. Yeah, I think there's no time to rebuild, boys. If Klopp stays, it's no, we need to win now.
Yeah,
and I don't like.
Don't
get me wrong. I think having Konate as a backup and being a backup for Liverpool still means you're paying 25, 30 games a season.
Well, yeah, Konate's only made 10 appearances this season, and Matip as well. He was brilliant last season. And the season before that, he's just been...
He won a Player of the Month, didn't he?
He's been phenomenal. So
he was one of those ways. But there is always one season, there's one centre-back who's, for a big team, who everyone goes, he's crap, or washed, or this geezer's not got the capacity, big man. Last season it was Matip, who ended up being Liverpool's best centre-back last season. But
and he's still a good player, but obviously he's turning 32 and he's on the last year of his contract next year. So
it's time to go.
He's not long-term. But yeah, I've gone for 2... centre halves who I think have really propelled themselves this season, especially the first after the World Cup, and that's Svardio. I don't see any other centre back on the market right now who is as promising and as
Fella's got a case for being best centre back in the world. 21. He absolutely bummed Erling Haaland last night.
Yeah.
And if anyone watched the game with his goal, he sunned Ruben Diaz. So Ruben Diaz is marking him on the corner because you'll have been Stoke were on yesterday, weren't they?
Tuesday.
Sorry, but I don't know if you watched yesterday. But
No, I was watching Hercules on Disney Plus. Callum.
so obviously Ruben Diaz is backing into Gvardiol to try to stop him. Gvardiol just puts his hands on his, just jumps and then pushes him down.
Unreal.
He sunned poor Ruben Diaz. That's a PFA Player of the Year, and Gvardiol went, nah, mate, jumped over. I do think it was terrible goalkeeping again from Ederson. I know he's been asked to do that, but like, I think Szoboszlai whips it in. And obviously, Szoboszlai is one of those players where if you put him on a dead ball situation, good luck.
Yeah.
And the ball's going straight, and then at the last moment, I don't know how he does it. The last moment, it just goes, whoop, and curves perfectly to Gvardiol. And then Vardiol's just like, no, you're not fighting with me for this, Diaz.
But Toby, what makes Vardiol the ideal candidate?
Well, I think he's sort of a fairly obvious choice. Like, there's obviously so many elite clubs in the world who want him, and obviously he's top of the list every time. But like I said, I don't know if money's an object, but he might slightly be out of Liverpool's price range, like realistically.
I mean, with yours, let's say no, because
he's
in
got
going off your
100
context, they've got
80
Bellingham
mil.
money.
Okay.
They've got money to spend on. You've got an unlimited budget. FSG have gone right. We're spending Chelsea money this season. Who are you buying?
But if I was to sum it up anyway, got Vardiol in a couple of words, I'd say he's so powerful on the ball. He carries it brilliantly. Like, he's one of the most progressive centre backs in European football, and he's phenomenally fast. He's like rapid, isn't he? For his size as well, he's a unit, and the way he can move.
He's probably up there for one of the faster players in world football, and
I think that's sort of where he's also played at fullback, and he's sort of got them transferable skills.
Very versatile player. Can play as he can play as that no nonsense Brexity centre back. He can play as that ball playing centre back. He can play as for example. A weird analogy, but you took Gvardiol into that Sheffield United team with the overlapping centre backs. Gvardiol's causing.
That was Chris Wilder.
Because I can't think of another team in Europe that played overlapping centre backs.
Who needs an Nagelsmann? Get Wilder in.
Get Wilder in. He's out of work.
There you go. Imagine. But I couldn't think of well, to be fair, they've got the wide centre backs who kind of push forward at Bayern, but they don't push forward too much to the point where we can make that comparison. But yeah, I think Vardiol, to be honest with you, should have won Young Player of the Tournament of the World Cup.
Yeah,
I think he had a shout for Player of the Tournament.
He really introduced himself, didn't he?
I think he'd been a fantastic player before that. I think but at the World Cup he was like, no, and he was the best defender at the tournament in my opinion.
He proves himself, didn't he? So,
who's your other target?
Well, it was Kim Min-jae. I don't know how realistic that is because I think Napoli will be very reluctant to let so many of their star players go.
My only
especially with how they're doing as well.
Because I've got a Napoli player in for my number 10. My only issue with it is they're going to be. I just headbutted the microphone by accident. They're going to be Serie A champions. Controversial opinion, I think they could win the Champions League.
Yeah,
their attack is just too good. They can just blitz you at any moment. They've got arguably one of the best wingers in the world right now in Kvaradona. I'm not going to call him his full name.
Kvaratskhelia in it or something.
I don't dare.
I think
he's the Georgian lad.
I think it's the K is silent and it's Kvaratskhelia, I think. But we'll call him Varadona or Kvaradona. Ooh. But him Osimhen. They've got. I just can't see any players leaving in the summer unless like stupid money comes in. I think. Again, you've got an unlimited budget, but
it's one of those. It goes two ways. You either keep the core of the squad together, or you get offered silly money for all of them. I think
they sell Osimhen for 100 million or over.
Yeah.
I think
United.
Kvaratskhelia stays. Oh, pronounce that well there. I'm going for these names and getting them today. I think he stays. I think Kim Min-jae stays. I think who, by the way, already better than Koulibaly ever was at Napoli.
Yeah.
He was
alright,
but
he's
and
been
a part of my favourite defence in the world.
He's another player who's an absolute unit.
And that's
6'2".
That's the Kim Wall of South Korea. Come on, the boys.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think with that I think you have to take Vardiol because I think Napoli will try us for similar money than Leipzig, and I think Kim Min's still only 24, 23. But
progressively as well, he's similar to Vardiol in that sense where he's so good at the back on the ball.
One thing I'll give him though over it, I think his anticipation of the ball is arguably the best in the world for a centre back. He just knows where the ball's going to be almost telepathically, and I think it's a promising sign if you're a fan of South Korean football as well, because they had a few players who stand out, but I think they've going from the Son Army to 2 world-class players in your squad, because I think Kim Min is world-class now, and I think there's no doubt about that. But
commercially as well, I know people. I don't know.
Yeah,
I find it sort of uncomfortable sometimes when people discuss it, And
Yeah,
I don't want to let it sort of undermine
No, but
the player.
it's a thing though, isn't it?
It's not something you should prioritise, but
No,
it's a nice
but
little bonus.
if you're a
Yeah.
football club, it is something you should prioritise because money. You bring in someone, you bring in that South Korean audience like Spurs have done with Son, for example.
Yes, but what I'm saying is quality should be.
It is, but he's
Not
world
race.
class.
Yeah.
He's world class, isn't he? And it's like, for example, why Liverpool kept Steven Gerrard around for so long, even when Gerrard wanted to leave, even though he didn't have a choice because some fans threatened to kill his family, I think, or something. Dude, name his. I swear to God. I'm being when he wanted to move to Chelsea,
Awful,
but
awful.
I think it's one of those where marketing's a big play into it, and I do think that's why someone like Kim Min-jae may be considered. It shouldn't take a factor into it at all. It should be the fact that the man is one of the best centre backs in the world.
Yeah,
But
100%.
I do think it's a thing. I think you look at like I'm trying to think of players we've had from Fellaini before Belgium really took off to their golden generation. James Rodriguez. We ended up making like a Spanish Twitter account when we signed James Rodriguez, and 3/4 of Colombia followed it.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where it does play a massive part into the game. And
Well, your biggest example is Salah with Liverpool, isn't it?
yeah, or even Son with Spurs. If you look at Spurs' numbers in that part of Asia, it's stupid. I think they're like the most followed club.
But anyway, back to Liverpool. So would you go with Guardiola?
Yeah, I think so. If money's not an object, then he'll be the start along with sort of Núñez. He'll be the start of that sort of next generation of Liverpool.
So another
team.
big issue that Liverpool need to address really is the midfield.
Yeah,
And I believe
terrible.
you've both
Yeah.
picked some suggestions. So we'll
What?
go back to Callum. We'll in our little fantasy world with Julian Nagelsmann at
So-
the head of Liverpool.
So if I scroll down to my last
Who was your ideal midfielder?
nice little 4-2-3-1 that I built in Football Manager, what we have here is a box-to-box player and a deep line player on defend. Thiago's going. I'm going full in detail now to explain it to people. No, because to be fair, the easiest way to explain it is to go, this is their role in Football Manager. You know what that is. You know how that works. And I've got Thiago in that Kimmich role, and I think he's had some flight with Liverpool fans. But if his goal is to sit in front of the midfield and dictate the tempo of a game, there's not many better players in the world at doing that.
You
And
play
then-
him in the right role.
And
he's
then you want that
phenomenal.
box-to-box midfielder, that Leon Goretzka. I don't think they can sign Goretzka. I think Goretzka's the best in the world at that position, being a box-to-box. Just one of those players. Because in the end, how are you going to stop that fella? He's built like a machine.
Have you seen the pictures comparing him to when he first came into Bayern? He's like a little twig, and now he's just.
I think
ripped.
it's because they've got the best
He's got-
physical training staff
He's got
in the
muscles
world.
on
doesn't it?
muscles.
They've got the best training staff in the world, and they work you like a dog as soon as you join Bayern, so you don't have a choice. You look at how much bigger all the players get over time. It ends up helping their careers because then when they leave, you've got that Bayern work ethic in part of you. But yeah, I don't think they can sign Leon Goretzka. So I've got. Let me scroll up a bit more. I've got 3 choices. One of them, Toby, you may not be very happy with. And I'm going to start off with Sergej Milinkovic-Savic. It's time to leave Lazio, bro. You're one of the best midfielders in the world. 4 goals, 8 assists in 21 appearances in Serie A. And then we move on to his foot. They're ridiculous. Like I don't know if you lot can see this. Just look at all that green for Milinkovic-Savic. He's like the best at everything, And I think
He doesn't specialise in one area. He's an
he's
all-rounder.
the perfect box-to-box midfielder, and
Nice.
he's a massive target as well. So for example, if we know Trent likes to hit those early crosses, if you see the in-run, like imagine your 2 centre-backs, and then you've got Darwin Núñez to deal with, and then Milinkovic-Savic is powering into the box. You're going to be like, it's a long day, I've had enough. I'm not ready for the Merseyside derbies because we're losing 6-0 every game in this case. But I think he's a fantastic player. 0.25 goals per 90. For a central midfielder to be getting you a goal at least once every 4 games.
That's ridiculous.
And his assist
With
at
his assists as well.
0.31. So he's getting you a goal and an assist minimum every 4 games. So it's one of those where I think his progressive stats aren't that good. He's much better at, he's really impressive when it comes to receiving the ball in an attacking area. For him to make those big runs, and then for someone like Thiago to spot him with a through ball with Trent. But Liverpool have the players with just unbelievable technical ability to get the ball to him that I just don't see why not, with his contract expiring again in 2024. By the way, if all these players don't sign new contracts or move this summer, next transfer window, if all these players leave on a free, is going to be one of the best transfer windows ever. 2024 summer. Like, imagine if you've got players like Pau Torres, Mount, his contract expires then. Speaking of, we'll move on to Mount next, but Milinkovic-Savic.
How much would Milinkovic-Savic cost Liverpool? If
with his contract expiring, with Napoli, I could say you could pay 50, 60. some of that in instalments, I could imagine, due to his contract expiring and probably not signing a new. I don't see Lazio getting Champions League. I see them getting Europa League. And even though Liverpool, I see them getting the same competition, to be completely honest with you. But huge pay packet increase, Premier League exposure. If he has a good season, he's going to get compared to Steven Gerrard. You know,
really?
It's one of those things where you have to take it if it comes up. We're going to move on next to Mason Mount. Mason Mount, it's time to start. It's time to finally move deeper, Matt.
Yeah.
It's time to take your role as a really crap version of Frank Lampard. Now, that's not saying Mount's a bad player, but no one's quite Frank Lampard. But yeah, Mount's stats have massively dropped off this season, but we know the type of player Mason Mount is. And I think Mason Mount's a hard worker enough to the point where he could drop deeper into the midfield and then drive the ball up. I think, for example, compared to Milinkovic-Savic, it'd be a lot more of Mason Mount receiving the ball and dribbling with the ball than Milinkovic-Savic, for example, quickly tailing off to Thiago and making a darting run through midfield. I think Mason Mount for, genuinely 50 mil. I think Chelsea accept it. I think contract's expiring in 18 months. You said he doesn't want a really long deal. The Chelsea fans are hating him. I think it's getting to the point where why not accept 50 million for him at this point, where he's just going to be a rotation
I can't
option.
see any other team with a better fit than Liverpool for him, to be honest. I think it makes sense. Obviously, I don't want to see him leave Chelsea, really, but yeah, it'd be interesting to see in your world it's under Nagelsmann, but I've even put him on mine under Klopp, what that would be like.
Yeah, it'd be ridiculous. I think he played a very similar role to what Wijnaldum played at Liverpool.
Yeah.
But I think, having him there just to, and I think, like I said, if you're playing with players like Thiago and Salah, you're technically already going to get better. You're just going to naturally get better on the ball because you've got to keep up with these players if you're going to be. But yeah, I think Liverpool want that English star because I think Trent gets so much hate that they can't market him as that. And I know Mount does, but the difference between a midfielder is Mount has one good season back to his Chelsea levels, where I think he'd do even better because I think just the service he's going to get, the service he's going to be able to provide, he's getting like 10, 15 goals, 10, 15 assists in the league probably, in my opinion. I think he's got the ability to, and I just think it's one of those where you have to take that if you're Liverpool and the options available, in my opinion.
Yeah. And then who's your number 3?
Mine is Teun Koopmeiners, 6 goals, 3 assists in Serie A. Again, a bit different to Mount and Thingy. He's more,
Fabinho role, wouldn't he? Play?
Yeah. But he also offers that explosiveness away. So, for example, I think this one would be more both players sit deep, but then Koopmeiners has got that ability to just fly forward when he needs to. I think it's one of those where you look at it and you go, well, it depends what we want. Do we want someone who's got that a bit more? Like I said, his defensive numbers are terrible, but I think he does have he's got that sense of anticipation. But I think Koopmeiners is the cheap option. I'd say Koopmeiners you're going to pay 30 to 40 mil, possibly even less, depending on Atalanta's finish if they don't get Europe. But it comes at this would be if Liverpool really want to spend luxury money on an attacking midfielder. If Liverpool want to go out and pay 50, 60 mil for an attacking midfielder, this is probably the guy you bring in. But if I had to pick out of the 3, I think I'd pick Milinkovic-Savic personally. He's the best player out of the 3. His stats are through the roof. And, I know he's 27. Or is he 28? No, he's about to turn 28 in literally 4 days. But
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Sergey. But I think it's one of those where he's a player so good. Similar to Pau Torres. They're just too good for the level they're playing at right now. And I think that market is a market Liverpool could really take advantage of.
It makes sense. And I feel them sort of players have done well for them in the past, and it can only work again. I think.
Yeah.
Awesome. So should I move on to what Klopp should do?
Going back to Toby.
We're getting on it.
So we've mentioned Mount because we're an hour and 5 minutes in now. We've mentioned Mount. I can imagine Bellingham's there as an option.
Yeah, I've got Bellingham in there. I just wanted to quickly provide a bit more context to the state of Liverpool's midfield if Klopp does stay.
Yeah.
Obviously, they've got Keita, Oxlade-Chamberlain and James Milner with all their contracts expiring this season, while
I didn't look at
established people like Henderson, obviously club captain, and Thiago, who are getting on there, 33 and 32 respectively. So they need their next generation in midfield. And I feel like their sort of plans for their future was scuppered last season because Tchouaméni went to Real Madrid, and now all their focus is on Bellingham.
Which I just don't think they're going to pull it off. I think you can't sign Jude Bellingham without Champions League, but they've got unlimited money and they've got unlimited wages to offer him in this world. So,
well, I think everyone knows what Jude Bellingham is like. I don't think he needs much introduction. He's obviously one of, if not the best young midfielder in world football. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. And I think Liverpool over Vardiol should just put all their money into him, because I think there's no debate on whether he's going to succeed or not. I think he will. Like, I don't think there's a point where he wouldn't in that team. But also I think another area of their midfield that is in many ways even more in trouble is like that sitting midfielder, that CDM role. Obviously Fabinho this season, he looks way off it. Like, he looks a lot older than 29 years old, so they need someone to cover that ground like he used to do. So the player I put in there is Caicedo. Like, he didn't obviously move in January. There was obviously that move to either Chelsea or Arsenal that didn't happen, so I feel like if they couldn't get Bellingham, or they got Bellingham and obviously we said they've got limited money, then I think they need that player in CDM. And yeah, I think it'd be no surprise that he would do well there, and obviously, solve their problem they have at the moment. So yeah, that's my midfield options.
Right. So in now the number 10 position would be mine. I think Liverpool have got a few players that could occupy there. Roberto Firmino could do a job there. I think you could convert Diego Jota to doing that. Ooh, why have I learned how to pronounce names all of a sudden today? But I've got 3 options. But if you've noticed by my budget, I've currently spent around 100 million with 45. So I only have 30 million left. So I'm going to give you
no object.
I'm going to give you no. That's for Toby.
Oh, I see.
We've got a budget that was, even though our budget has been scumpered by the fact that Navigator's contract's apparently expiring, and we didn't know that. But they're getting rid of enough wages to the point where I think they've got enough to afford it. So I'm going to give you my 2 expensive options first. I'm going to start with the most expensive option, a player that I don't know. Did you watch Man City Leipzig last night, Toby?
No, I didn't know.
Well, a player who massively stood out last night was Dominic Szoboszlai, a player who a lot of the time until I think Nagelsmann came in was kind of in and around the periphery. Him and Danny Olmo have been battling for. I don't know if Olmo's injured, and that's why Szoboszlai's got a chance to set up. But in 19 games in the Bundesliga, 4 goals, 8 assists, 1 goal, 2 assists in the Champions League, another assist last night. So I don't think that will have added to it. So I think it'll be 8 games, 3 assists now.
Was also really good against England when Hungary battered us.
Yep. Again, fantastic player and a really good work ethic. His defensive stats are really good for an attacking midfielder. Someone who I think would be willing to drop in deeper to receive the ball if there were a problem. But I think now, he's going to come at that RB Leipzig premium, that big cash Red Bull money that even though they bring in enough money as it is, he's been fantastic under Marco Rose. I think that's the manager. It's the geezer. It's the geezer who used to manage Dortmund. Marco Rose, I think, yeah, and Mönchengladbach. Nkunku's gone in the summer, more than likely. I mean, has it been confirmed? Because there is still a chance that this deal to Chelsea could fall apart, couldn't it?
Yeah, well, with the rumours that went through last summer, you'd be foolish not to think it was going.
Well, the rumour is that they've done it, and Leipzig have only said, yeah, if you let us have him for another season. And I think that's what's happened. And I think you've actually already broke the transfer record for Enzo Fernandez. And just the fee's not out yet for Nkunku. I think it's genuinely 110, 120 mil.
Wow.
I think it has to be.
I don't think it'll be that high.
Well, who was your second option, Carl?
My second. But anyway, let me talk. 50, 60 mil. I think it's going to cost you. Even but I do think it is possible to bring Szoboszlai away because they have someone as good as Danny Olmo. Danny Olmo's another shout for that, but I haven't got him in my 3. My second is Piotr Zielinski from Napoli, 3 goals, 6 assists in Serie A, 3 goals, 2 assists in only 7 Champions League appearances. Don't know if he got a goal or assist against Frankfurt. Why am I'm pronouncing things like a nerd. Right, anyway. His stats aren't as good as the others. If you compare him as a central midfielder, I think Zielinski is more the Thiago role or a box-to-box role, but I put him in here due to his creative abilities. Like I said, if I did this, Zielinski and Mount could swap, with Mount moving into the 10 and Zielinski dropping deeper. But, Zielinski, again, the creative force in the most entertaining team in Europe, in my opinion. And, I'll put here, we'll probably go for a big fee, but he's a fantastic creator with an eye for goal from range, costing about 40 to 50 mil. Szoboszlai is going to cost you between 50 and 60. And then, my shout, in my opinion, one of the 10 best attacking midfielders in the world, and doesn't get his recognition for that, is Daichi Kamada from Frankfurt. a player who, I think arguably Japan's star player at the World Cup, a player who really helped drive them forward. And again, 7 goals, 4 assists for Frankfurt in the Bundesliga, 3 goals in 7 Champions League appearances. We are slowly running out of time, so I'm going to try and get through this quickly. Kamada's one where I think he offers a cheap alternative to some of the other players. I think you could get him for around 25 to 35 million. And like I said, arguably one of the better players at the World Cup who didn't get the recognition he deserves. And I do think he's one of those players who he has the work rate where a manager like Julian Nagelsmann will look at them and go, you'll be fantastic for me because you will have that drive, that work rate, and he has that eye for goal that a Liverpool team could really need. So for my team, that number 10 is going to be Daichi Kamada, which for about 30 million, which adds us up to 130.
I like it.
Have you got any last quick ones to get, Toby, before we get in trouble for being late for our lecture?
Not forward-wise, but I would put a few more sort of things that they need to change.
Give us some quick fire names.
Well, they're not forwards at all. One is a sporting director, because I feel like ever since Michael Edwards left, Julian Ward is obviously he's going to leave. Well, he has left, hasn't he? I think. So they obviously need a sporting director in there, because I think obviously like a huge part of their success over the last few years is, finding players who have that potential and who can pursue it quickly and achieve it quickly, and proven quality over the last few years has been incredible. So I'd say someone getting another sporting director in there just to lead the recruitment would be perfect. And obviously with FSG obviously reporting that they were going to sell the club, and they've sort of pulled back on that now, and they're going to look for investors. I think for sort of the transfer windows we're touting them to have in the summer and to rebuild. I think investment is key, and they need to find it somewhere.
Yeah. So if we go over that, your team would be the same Liverpool team now, but with Gvardiol replacing Gomez and Bellingham stepping in for probably for Bajcetic or something. Yeah. They probably need
more. Caicedo in there as well.
Yeah. And Caicedo in the deep lying role.
I feel like mine's really like I haven't done a lot of research. I've just gone for the obvious picks.
No,
but I think they make sense. Like,
I completely agree. They're obvious for a reason.
If you've got an unlimited budget, you're going to go for the obvious picks.
Of course you will.
But I'll just quickly read out my Liverpool team now. So it would be Alisson, Alexander-Arnold, Van Dijk, Pau Torres, Robertson, Thiago, Milinkovic-Savic, Salah, Kamada, Diaz, and then Nunes up front.
Unreal.
Cody Gakpo, very good player, but I think Luis Diaz is a different level, man. The guy's fantastic, and I think Liverpool also, before we end, it wouldn't surprise me if they sold Jota to get a big fee into the club to afford some more players. But we don't want to be here all week, so that is it. Thank you all for listening. If you did enjoy, please make sure to like and subscribe if you're on YouTube, and to rate the podcast 5 stars if you're on Spotify.
If you're still awake.
Yep.
What a shift that was.
Thank you to Lewis and to Ulby for coming on once again. If you want to follow us on Twitter, follow us at UnfortunateFP. Our private Twitters will also be linked down below.
Unless we change the name. We might change the name.
We might rebrand because we're going to spend money to get nice new logos and stuff. I'm going to force these two to get the wallet out as well. Thank you all for listening. Goodbye, everyone.
Thank you all.